Yo, what is going on, Raiders? The Boss here, and welcome to episode 4 in BTB. This is actually the last episode before we get into the final match, and I've got also something special prepared for you guys if you are not participating in the matches, so stay tuned until the end because 3 players will have the chance to win some diamonds as well. So I've promised you in the last episode to bring up a special base layout. When I said that, I didn't mean an effective one, especially if the player would be able to use buffs, but it's more or less a kind of troll base I've used because it looks very easy to get to the stronghold, and yes, it's actually very easy if you have time to plan your attack in advance and use a simple strategy by sending in your troops at 2 spots and then deploying your remaining troops into the center. Since our players have 2 hours to plan their attack, I'm sure they will get to the stronghold, but with this layout I've actually had stronghold 10 players in the past who weren't able to destroy it, and one good thing about this layout is that it really prevents players from getting all those resources, and it will mainly kill approaching troops with the traps. But my goal today is to test the skills of our Stronghold 8 players for the final match so that we can determine the damage bonus which they will get when they are fighting for a place to get the diamonds. So that being said, if players place their troops all at once, the troops will walk around the base, and I'm eagerly waiting to see how the players of this episode will solve that issue. The names of them are
Demens versus Rahadlan.
Alright, like I said before, one more player can make it into the final match, so let's see who's the next lucky player to get a chance in the final match, and we start with Demens.
Beat the boss. Round 1.
So here we go, and Demon starts off first at the bottom with just a few marauders and cannoneers and helps them out by using the Berserk barrel. And now the interesting thing is to see how he's gonna continue with this fight, and he does that by using another group of troops on the right side, so it seems like he's using the exact same strategy I've mentioned earlier. He's attacking from 2 sides, and I think later we can observe another wave coming in to destroy the stronghold, but let's see how it turns out. Currently there are not a lot of players remaining, but we can clearly see that he created there an entrance to the center, which is gonna make it possible to come closer to the stronghold. Only thing which could make difficulties for him are the remaining Berthas, but the marauders can take care of them pretty easily. And now he's using looters to trigger the last remaining traps to guarantee a safe entrance, and this shows already that he planned very well his attack to make a safer entrance for the last remaining troops to take down the stronghold. Honestly, I think I've underestimated the power of the Stronghold 8 player. I know the placement of the troops is too obvious, but I wanted to see what he got. And of course, if you look through such a sort of troll base, that's how it turns out in the end, and therefore he deserves this 2nd star. And this should be the end of this fight. He has no barrels left, but as I said, I'm pretty surprised how well it went for him. And he was able to destroy 60% of my base in the end, and I think that's a decent result if you consider the difference between my level and his. Alright, now we only need one more player to show us his skills, who is called Rahadlan, whose goal should be now to exceed the 60% damage benchmark.
Beat the boss. Round 2.
So Rahadlan starts off on the right side, probably to avoid my troop bunkers in first place, and uses a huge marauder army followed by cannoneers and healers. So obviously he tries to make a big push and focuses mainly on one side, which could turn out in the end pretty bad because, as I said, if you are not coordinating your attack well, the troops will ignore the stronghold and will simply get killed by the traps sooner or later. Of course, the one side of my base was destroyed pretty fast, because if the towers are spread out too much, you will lose the power to kill troops faster. And then we can see the cannoneers are also getting killed pretty fast by the large explosive trap, because they have no other troops next to them to take on that damage. Furthermore, he tries now to send another small group of cannoneers into the center, but since he deployed them too early, they will start to move around the stronghold as well. So it doesn't look too good for him. He had probably seen the stronghold and thought it would be easy to take it down, but that's obviously not the case, and things go according to my plan here. But still, we got here the issue that the cannoneers are standing very close to the stronghold, and if only one of them walks into the center it might get destroyed, but fortunately that's not happening since they focus more on the towers and they walk further away from the stronghold. Also, his marauder army is getting pretty small now, so this battle slowly comes to an end, and so far he's still below 40% damage, so definitely needs to take down the stronghold and a couple more buildings to exceed the previous result from Demens, and that can only happen if he has some more troops left. And my advice here, when I'm attacking players, I always save up just a few archers for such cases. However, now he really has a lot of luck. He only has 4 cannoneers left. 2 walk now to the resource bunkers on the bottom, but the other 2 are going to the Stronghold, so he got here very lucky, which means in the end it might get pretty close, and since the Bertha on the bottom cannot shoot on them, he has all the time to destroy the Stronghold to get 2 stars and a lot more damage on my base. So we quickly jump ahead, and it looks like that those 2 cannoneers were the reason that he could take down my Stronghold. I didn't expect it. He was attacking not in waves but only in one big push, and only through luck he made it so far and got there for 53% damage. So in the end, Demens got 60% damage and Rahadlan only 53% damage. Therefore in the end, Demens deserved this victory because he put a lot more thought into his fight, which gave him also the better result. So we got here our last player for the next week's final match. Alright, let me explain to you now how you can win some diamonds. So 3 players can also win 50 diamonds by voting under this post for the player they think is gonna make it to the first place. The winner of the final match will get determined by damage he does to my base layout, and the 3 players who voted correctly for the winner will get determined randomly. It would be unfair if Stronghold 10 players fight directly against Stronghold 9 and 8 players, since they have weaker and less troops and less barrels, so pay attention to what I'm saying now. Stronghold 9 players will get therefore 15% damage on top of their final result, and Stronghold 8 players will get a 25% damage bonus. I really want to encourage the Stronghold 10 players to deliver their best performance through that, and if they won't, the Stronghold 9 and 8 players will get a shot on those diamonds. So I highly recommend to check out the previous players so that you know how skilled the participants are. Alright, here we are again at the end of this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it once again. If you want to watch the previous episode, you can simply click on that thumbnail and it'll get you there. Episode 5 will be way longer than the other episodes of that season, so I hope you're excited for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. This is it from me. Have a great raid. Peace out.